Hey there, Dr. Christensen here. You know, so much of our health, our happiness, our success, our relationships come down to how well our bodies work. And how well they work comes down to three big things. You know, what we eat, how we move, and what goes on between our ears. You know, our thoughts, our dreams, our aspirations. It's really those few factors. And I want to talk a little bit about the most important facet of what we eat and the timing and what we get when. That would be breakfast. This has been a source of controversy and debate. You know, there are ideas about intermittent fasting, about not eating throughout the day and having a big dinner. There are ideas about just skipping breakfast and starting with lunch if one is not hungry. But there's been so much data showing that our whole day's energy production is based upon the first fuel that hits the tank. You know, if we're not getting food, our body expects to be in a state of famine. If we get a whole lot of starchy food, our body expects to be buried in starch all day. And it makes ourselves resistant to it and insulin resistant. In the famine state, we slow our metabolism. So breakfast is critical. And here's a few tricks about that. Some things you want for breakfast. The first one is you want to have it within about an hour of waking up. So in that first hour, that's the time to get a good solid meal. The main elements of that meal would be protein and fiber. So let's talk about that. So protein, a lot of foods have protein. Not many foods just have protein. And you want some foods that are just protein foods during that first hour of the day. Many mixed protein foods, like beans, nuts and seeds, or cheeses, they may have their place. Actually, I'm not a fan of cheese anywhere. So beans and nuts and seeds have their place, but they're mixed protein foods. They're not pure protein foods. In that hour of waking, you want some pure sources of protein. And it's a short list. I don't make the rules around here. The short list is protein powders, meat, fish, poultry. For those with definitely no food intolerances, we could consider non-fat, and no, that's going to be off message. So there's a short list of pure protein foods. There's not too many of them, and hey, I didn't make the rules, so don't blame me. But non-allergenic, clean, pure sources of protein will be protein powders, fish, shellfish, poultry, lean meat. Those who are vegetarian, fermented soy like tempeh can be an option as well. That's kind of the list. So you want something from there within an hour of waking. And per your age, size, and gender, that's going to be at least 25, maybe 35 grams, so a decent serving of that when you get up. The other big element of breakfast is fiber. And we've got three kinds of fiber. We've got the kinds that dissolve in water, the kinds that don't, and the kind that feeds the good bacteria of our colon. We call that soluble, insoluble, and resistant. Now, resistant is a really cool one to get for breakfast. That one makes your whole day a day of burning fuel. So more energy, more fat burned. That's the cool thing about resistant fiber. And the other versions of fiber, the soluble and insoluble, they're also important. And most foods that have the resistant fiber have the others as well. So resistant fiber, I mentioned how beans were not complete pure protein. They are good for resistant fiber. So I like them, but you want protein with them too. And they're also high in the other types. Berries are also good foods, and they're nice to have small amounts of early in the day. So the things you do not want for breakfast, well, this is kind of like a double negative, but you don't want nothing. You do want to get breakfast, and we kind of covered that, but you don't want sugar. This is the worst time in the day to have a sugar bomb. And so many people are conscious of their health, they're thoughtful, they're trying to avoid bad foods, but they end up having so much sugar for breakfast. You know, we have sweetened yogurt, we have sweetened cereals, we have juices, and we've even got smoothies. You can make up really healthy smoothies with a ton of fruit, maybe even like some almond milk, and guess what? You've got more sugar than a Coke and a donut would have had. You know, you can get a big sugar bomb out of an allegedly healthy-looking breakfast. So you also don't want high carbs. So even the good ones, you don't want to have oatmeal plus berries plus almond milk plus some fruit. that's all carbs, unfortunately, and that's going to make your body insulin resistant for the whole day. So we've got to think about good foods, but also good ratios. Now, you also don't want a high-fat breakfast. You don't want just fat for breakfast. So that's going to look like, the sausage or the bacon or the scrambled eggs. So what that's going to do is make your food come in your bloodstream so slowly that you're going to be tired pretty quickly. You'll run out of fuel by about mid-morning or by early afternoon, and then you're going to crave some sweet stuff. So you want a little bit of good carbs, lots of good quality protein, and super critical. But a good breakfast, more than anything else, can make the whole day give you more energy and burning fat more effectively, and good mental alertness. Many papers have shown that breakfast is like the trick to being mentally sharp for long periods of time throughout the day. And the cool thing is that as hard as it is to shake bad habits, I've got some good news. It's also really hard to shake good habits. So in breakfast, when you work out, what are the proteins you like, what are the fibers that are your favorites, and how to do it easily, it'll become a good habit, and it'll go a long ways towards improving your health and your wellness. Reset your life, reset your health. I'll show you how. Thanks for tuning in. Dr. Christensen here, and I'll see you real soon.